Out with this Milwaukee club. They're off to a great start here. I know they got a new coach and everything, but they're playing great defense and they got a great bench.
I think overall you see their athleticism and length on the floor, and I think defensively they're able to use that length and athleticism to protect the rim and protect their paint. Conversely, they're very good offensively at getting the ball in the paint, so there lies our challenge tonight of keeping the basketball out of the paint.
Jacque, when you're trying to close out games, how much of a process is that, especially when you have 8 new guys and guys learning how to play together for the first time?
It's a long process because you haven't been in that situation before. It's like learn how to drive a stick and living in San Francisco. Like you got to be on some of those hills, and sometimes that car's going to roll backwards, and sometimes you're going to get it up the hill. So it's kind of that process of being able to handle that situation.
So in back-to-back nights, you got to kind of see both sides.
We went to a few hills. We went to up and down a hill, but we learned from the situation. We learned from the previous night, and we were able to challenge ourselves again immediately and see if we can handle being in that situation again.
As far as talking about Channing, you said you looked at a video and you saw him out there open a lot. They seem to be working him into the offense a little bit. He seems to be working into the rotation.
Well, I don't think the guys dislike him and they weren't trying to find him, but he's a different, different player on the floor where he receives the ball is a different spacing than your traditional big, and so guys have to get used to that, especially if you haven't played with a guy like him before.
Jacque, I think you're 7th in the league in field goal percentage, you're 3rd in the league in three-point percentage, your assists are way up. How happy are you with the way the group is meshed offensively?
Well, I think overall we'll continue to take steps in the right direction, and I think that's been starting kind of with turnovers and addressing our turnover situations and being able to, get a shot and produce a shot. That lends to trust and believing in, the overall scope of what we're trying to do. So I think overall we'll take some steps in the right direction.
With Evan, how much of his game is confidence? I mean, we saw in the preseason where he had ups and downs, and now you see, he feels like every shot that leaves his hand is going in.
Well, that's a good place to live. I think overall, the beginning of the year, the preseason kind of talked about him trying to get used to a new system and new people around him and trying to fit in. I think he realizes now that he fits in, and we can use his abilities to help us have a chance to win ball games.
How important is it for your team to move the basketball, get out and run? I know you'd like to see him push the pace, especially tonight, to try to get easy baskets as often as possible.
Well, then again, so there's that extreme balance of being able to have pace, but at the same time to be able to get quality shots. And so we want pace, quality shots, and that starts with getting a shot, so taking care of the basketball.
What about Nick Vucevic, the way he's going right now? What have you seen different from last year to this year? Is it a confidence thing? Is it physically? What are you noticing with him?
You just get older, and hopefully while getting older you get wiser, you understand the league. I think he's understanding where offensively his shots can be produced, and then defensively how he needs to help us every single night, how important he is to rebounding and being in the right position. So you start to understand how important you are to the team and your responsibility to your team.
Got the 2nd overall pick coming in tonight. You've got the 4th and 10th pick. What have you seen in their transition? Your rookies, and how difficult, obviously, is that adjustment? Where are they now, 9 games in?
They're all rookies. And so they're still learning this thing. They're still playing back-to-backs for the first or second time, packing, coming home, unpacking, some of them I guess unpacked, and then pack again, so that happens. So you learn this routine of the NBA, and you're still getting used to a lot of different situations.
Jacque, I meant to ask you the other night, you're in that 4 and 5 nights. I mean, is there anything tougher in the NBA than playing 4 games in a 5-night stretch?
That's a pretty tough feat. You just, the balance of rest, also being mentally sharp, that's a tough balance. It's demanding on the body. And hopefully we can continue to use guys to help us through those situations.
You take that into account as a coach, don't you? I mean, you look down your bench, you know you got to use your bench on those latter games.
Without doubt. You take, for example, the New York game. Andrew and Willie gave us great minutes. We needed those guys to produce for us, and they were ready to produce, and we used them.
kind of reports are you getting on how Victor's doing? Actually, you see him in practice. I guess he worked out here yesterday.
Well, since he worked out yesterday, we're going to upgrade him to questionable tonight, Josh.
Oh, sorry.
So he's questionable, everyone.
Has he had a full practice yet with the team?
Yes,
How recently was that?
Toronto.
Toronto? Is it all about doctor's clearance as far as him actually getting into the game, or is it just him getting that rust off?
He's cleared by the doctors.
Okay. It's wonderful news.
You obviously aren't thinking this far ahead, but tomorrow night you play against a guy that, or you coach against a guy that you played with at Kansas, also on that court is also Drew Gooden. Do you talk to those guys at all that you went to school with?
Are you going to see me tomorrow night?
No.
You and I will do something after this then.
Okay.